Hi everyone, it's Wednesday, it's around 27 degrees, a little overcast but there's a bit of sun as well, so it's going okay. No complaints at all here. Other revelation I had is I was under the impression that my oven had died, which didn't surprise me considering that the rubber seal around the edge is just totally knackered. But I was wrong actually. It just takes a little while to warm up, and I was under the impression that it had just totally gone kaput, but it hadn't. So I've actually used it a couple of times since, and it's still going. It's a tough old soldier. It's hanging in there really well. So that was a pleasant surprise, I guess. I mean, I still need a new oven. I need a new place to live as well. I don't need to have a new place to live, but I'd like to be living down near the beaches, to be quite frank. I think that would be a nicer lifestyle. But there just ain't that many properties on the market at the moment. I'm looking every day, and I think Cairns is got a real problem with supply of new properties. It may be because people are nervous about the economy and they're worried that prices are going to drop. Although if they're really worried about prices dropping, you think they'd want to get their properties out as soon as possible. So I'm not quite sure what's going on, but I think it'd be pretty tough ask to be in the real estate business right now in Cairns. But you know, I could be wrong there. I just watched a bit of the presidential debate. They had their first US presidential debate between Donald Trump and Joe Biden. I've got to say that Joe Biden seemed a lot more lucid than I'd expected. I think there's been quite a bit of talk about him being suffering from dementia and senility, but he didn't seem to show that many signs of it during this debate, and it was quite fiery. Now, I don't know if either of the participants is going to gain anything from this. I still personally believe that Donald Trump will romp it in the election simply because people will not cop the cities being burnt and destroyed by rioters. And I think he's got a very high rating amongst black voters and Hispanic voters, which will get him over the edge. But it is still a bit of time to go before the actual poll. I also think that Biden's notion of extending a tough shutdown will not go down well with the American public. I think there's a lot of shutdown fatigue occurring throughout the world at the moment, so I think people have pretty well had enough of it. But anyway, look, that's enough of my rambling. I'm just going to add a new story to a story I'd actually recorded yesterday, and I hadn't had. It was just going on so long, that video, I just couldn't include it. So I'm going to include it today with this lead story that is from today. So I'll just proceed with this one first off, and then we'll get in. I'll splice together the story from yesterday, which is about Daniel Andrews' roadmap, and I've got a few criticisms of that I've got to tell you. But anyway, this today's news is that there's a tense moment where Victorian cops confiscate a free Melbourne sign from two friends out on a walk because you don't have the right to protest during stage 4 lockdown. That's what Mr. Plod, or Miss Plod in this case, was telling these people. I mean, the Victorian police, in my opinion, is out of control. They are anti-free speech, and they're anti-free movement. They just don't like freedom, except for themselves, of course. They love lording over the populace. Two Melburnians went for a walk in their local park following all lockdown rules, decided to scribble a free Melbourne sign and carry it, but cops stopped them. Police said carrying the sign was a sign of protest, and protesting was banned. Well, goodbye democracy. If that's the case, we're doomed. Protesting is banned? This is what the police are telling people? Come on. We really have lost all our freedoms. Victorian police snatched a sign reading Free Melbourne from two friends out on a walk, saying protesting was banned during lockdown. Officers demanded the pair throw the sign away despite complying with all the lockdown rules. Both men were wearing gloves and masks, walking in the allowed group of two, and said they were within 5 kilometres of their homes this weekend. But that's not enough for our Victoria police. If you don't totally cower to the authority, you're basically stuffed. However, the female police officer told them the sign was in itself illegal. My God, what has happened to this world? and they would be breaking the law if they didn't bin it. Oh my God. Really, I think there's got to be an inquiry into Victorian police. This is just outrageous. You don't need to exercise with that sign, because that to me is indicating you're about to protest, and that's illegal, she said in the video. My God. Well, talk about drawing a conclusion. I mean, geez, who is this woman? I mean, she seems to obviously love the power that she's being invested in her by the authorities. She's going overboard, in my opinion. So I'm going to ask you to throw the sign away. The pair question whether it's really illegal for them to simply hold a sign while going for their walk. Very good question. Yes, because obviously it's a sign of protest and it's illegal, the officer replied. My God, what a hard ass. The pair argued it was illegal to protest only to gather, which they were not doing, so there was only two of them. I'm not going to argue the point. You either put the sign in the bin or I will, the policewoman insisted. At this point in time, you don't have the right to protest, not in this current health pandemic. And that's the problem. This health pandemic is being used to basically destroy our civil liberties, and it's got to stop. This is ridiculous. Another video showed police letting the men leave without a fine once they had confiscated the sign. Well, how nice of them. They didn't actually fine them a few grand. That's amazing. There are no photos because the police officers forcibly removed the sign from their hands and threw it in the bin. The female police officer told them to sign was in itself illegal, and that would be breaking the law if they didn't bin it. Freedom is now illegal, is it? To write the word freedom. This is getting to be 1984 stuff. This is really Orwellian. This is just absurd how they've overstepped their authority, the police. This is just crazy. So scribbling a sign with the word freedom on it is now that much of a danger to the police that it's going to basically cause the end of civilization. I mean, this really is a sad moment in the history of Australia and Victoria in particular. Now, a slight tidbit given to the Victorians by Daniel Andrews. He probably feels like he's Father Christmas, but he's more like the Grinch, in my opinion. Melburnians enjoy the weekend weather as Daniel Andrews finally lifts curfew, but anger builds over the draconian rule he still refuses to get rid of. Premier Daniel Andrews announced the 9 p.m. curfew would end as cases of coronavirus continue to fall. Melburnians took to the city's park, including Carlton's Princess Park and Spring Sunshine, on Sunday to exercise. 5 people can gather for exercise from Monday, but home visits still banned under new raft of restrictions. Unbelievable. I mean, this is just total BS, this stuff. I mean, just basically destroying people's social lives. This is I guess it's the new man that the socialist vision, just breaking down what currently exists with family and friends and setting up a new regime. That's probably his master plan. Probably in his cave now, coming up with more ways to torment the Melburnians. City's residents called on Mr. Andrews to allow people to visit homes in the virus-hit city more than 5 kilometres away. Extend the 5 kilometre rule even just slightly to 10 kilometres. Victorians are doing the right thing, frustrated residents said. Melburnians have basked in the city's weekend's weather as Premier Daniel Andrews announced he will finally lift the city's 9 p.m. curfew on Monday. From 5 a.m. on Monday, Melbourne's nearly 5 million residents can go out at night again as daily case totals in Victoria continue to fall. Although fines for breaking the Civic-19 gathering limits will rise to $5,000 from $1,600. God, he's a scumbag. Masked joggers and sporting enthusiasts eager to kick the footy took to Carlton's Princess Park to enjoy their 2 hours of permitted exercise, a rule that will remain in place despite Melbourne's accelerated restriction easing. This guy loves having his citizens on a short leash. He's a maniac. Melbourne residents have hit out at Mr. Andrews' new rules specifying they can exercise together 5 kilometres from their home but not visit each other's houses. Outdoor pools will reopen and fishing and hiking are permitted, still within 5 kilometres of the home, but sports like golf and tennis will still be banned. Why? Why is golf banned? I mean, Sam Newman made this point too. He said it's one of the most isolated sporting events you can get involved in. It's out in the sun with fresh air. It's one of the most low risk pursuits you could ever have. I can't play the game because I've got crappy eyesight. Golf is a nightmare for me. I would have to swing about 100 times to be able to hit the damn ball. But I appreciate the fact that other people enjoy it, and there's absolutely no rational reason to ban people from doing that. And the same applies for fishing. It's just absurd. The draconian rules will remain in place despite Victoria, Australia's worst hit state in terms of coronavirus transmission, recording 16 new cases and 2 deaths on Sunday. That's minuscule. Let all kids back to school and extend the 5 kilometre rule even just slightly to 10 kilometres. Andrew says we can now go fishing but only in a 5 kilometre radius of your home. So we'll drop a line in my local drain or sewer creek. Thanks, another added. Yeah, now that's about right. Schools and universities will see limited reopenings under the new restrictions, with primary school students going back to school on October the 12th, as well as apprentices and final year university students for needed in-person training and assessments. Residents taken to the warm Melbourne sunshine on Sunday were pictured wearing masks, as Mr Andrews warned. Face shields could no longer be used instead of a mask. Scarves, bandanas and similar materials are also banned. You can wear one if you want in terms of your eyes, but if you need to be accompanied by a mask, anything is better than nothing, but a shield is akin to not wearing a face covering, Mr Andrews said. The altered rules came as Mr Andrews announced major changes to the roadmap out of lockdown at his daily press conference on Sunday. There is no roadmap. Don't give me that crap. You haven't thought this out. This is policy on a whim. It's just like the curfew. No one wanted the curfew apart from Daniel Andrews. It's just a way of tormenting the Victorians. That seems to be the main reason he was brought in. I think he's a sadist. How fast the state reopens will be determined by how many cases there are, instead of dates ahead of time, as progress is faster than expected. It means that getting back to the things we love, seeing more of people we love, not only is achievable, it's in our hands, Mr Andrews said. Oh, how magnanimous of you, you prick. Up to 5 people from 2 households can gather for a group exercise, but are still forbidden from visiting each other's homes. I know people want to go out and visit friends. I know people want that fundamental connection with friends and family. I get that. I understand that, Mr Andrews said. You don't understand human nature at all. I mean, you're in for a huge backlash, mate, from what I can gather. But I also understand what I am completely clear about. The evidence is irrefutable. The home environment is one of the most risky environments. It's how people let their guard down. And there is a degree of informality. Well, why don't we set up communes for everybody and just destroy the family? That's probably what would work in with your overall agenda. There is no distancing. There is not the cleaning at the kind of industrial level that is when your virus gets away from you in one big family or small family visiting another and another, and another does nothing but potentially spread this virus. I reckon that's what he wants. He wants people to live in communes. That'd be perfect for him. Everyone under control, everybody following rules with guards to make sure they adhere to them. However, people can visit sick or elderly family and friends in hospital or nursing homes one at a time for 2 hours a day. Personal training can resume with a maximum of 2 people and their trainer. Weddings can have up to 5 people, and religious worship can be outside with 5 people. This is just a dog's breakfast of regulations. It's just all over the place. Is there really a roadmap? Come on. Childcare centres and early child education will reopen, allowing essential workers to get back to work and those working from home some peace and quiet. Jim's mowing boss, Jim Penman, may call off his frequent attacks on Mr Andrews' gardening and landscaping for sole traders can resume. Don't pull back, Jim. You've done a good job getting stuck into him. Pet grooming will also restart, a welcome relief for anyone whose furry friend's coat is in desperate need of maintenance. Essential workers can also exercise near work instead of home, but must carry their work permit with them. Elective surgery will slowly ramp up to 75% of normal capacity after being shut down for non-urgent cases when lockdown began. Abattoirs, seafood and meat processing plants, which had their production slashed to a third, can now ramp up again to 80%. Now, where did this 80% figure come from? What is that? It's just out of thin air, I'd say. This is total BS, as I said. I just don't buy any of this crap. With spring lamb carving and other essential factors, not to mention that Christmas is coming up, we are pleased to be able to lift those percentages of work, as Mr. Andrews said. Again, you are so magnanimous. We should just bow and worship the ground you walk on, Mr. Andrews. You're such a saint. Factories can also get back to 90% of their pre-lockdown capacity. Why 90%? What is this? What's the difference between 90 and 100%, for God's sake? Well, what a load of BS. I mean, it just doesn't make sense. They are all subject to complying with coronavirus safe plans. Oh, God. Overall, about 127,000 staff around Melbourne will be able to get back to work on Monday. There will be additional obligations for employers, including regular surveillance testing of staff, nightly deep cleaning, separating workers into constituent bubbles and providing regular training for their workers, Mr. Andrews said. This guy is a total control freak and he's really getting off on this. He loves it. And when you do look at all those restrictions, you look at these percentages, where did they come from? Seriously, is this really calculated on a scientific basis? No, it's just the emotion of Dan Andrews. He loves the fact that he can manipulate people so well. And in the past, they've taken it up the backside. Hopefully they're going to wake up and realise this guy is bad news. I think more likely it's the party that's waking up to it, and that he's going to basically send them down into the dustbin of history. And that's why he will be tapped on the shoulder. So I'm an optimist overall. All right, well, look, that's about the end of things for today. As usual, could you please give me a thumbs up, thumbs down, comment. I always enjoy your comments. And if you're feeling particularly generous, please think of subscribing to the channel. I'm up to about 602 subs. And let's try to head towards the 700 mark. It's a big ask, but I know that with your help, we can achieve that goal. So that would be great. So have a great day. Enjoy yourself. Enjoy your freedom. Oh, where's the cops? They should apprehend me for saying it. If I wrote it down, I would be in trouble. But no, seriously, enjoy your day. And I'll catch up with you again tomorrow.